I think the two biggest things that we are constantly tracking are like, what's the time to value? What's the time to first value? And then are we seeing net retention go up?
In our last edition of Uptech Report, we spoke with Gaurav Bhattacharya, the CEO of InvolveSoft, who told us about the remarkable journey that brought him from humble origins to the CEO of a startup. In part 2 of our conversation, Gaurav tells us more about overcoming the obstacles of starting a U.S. company as an immigrant, the goals he establishes for success, and his view that coders will be the next blue-collar workforce. What's one difficulty that you had to face and then overcome that maybe another entrepreneur can learn from?
Oh, that's a great one. I think for just being open, like immigration was really hard for us because like immigration is a big challenge. Like we had to learn a lot about what kind of visa, when to apply for it, how to search for the lawyer. So I think that's something that, it's possible. Like a lot of immigrants don't know that. They always see, like for example, like immigrants would see Indian entrepreneurs or Asian entrepreneurs, and then they feel like these people were actually born in the US. But there's a lot of like immigrants who are like, for example, both Satya Nadella, who's Indian, who's the CEO of Microsoft, and Sundar Pichai is the CEO of Google and Alphabet now. They're both people who came later, so they were not US citizens. But there's a lot of ways of working with it. Just I think the big message I want to give is it's possible. As an immigrant, you can start a company, you can run a successful company, sell it as well. There's a lot of options. You just have to find good lawyers and people who've done it before. But the biggest part is it's possible and it can be done. So if anyone who's an immigrant who watches the video and thinks can be done
It is possible.
legally, it can be. Exactly. Yeah.
I love it. I'm actually Canadian, by the way, so I'm not even American.
Yeah.
It is possible. Now you've already paved the way. You've living the dream, so to say, and you've got a great vision. Describe to me where you see yourself in 5 years from now. Where is the company?
Yeah, it's a great question. So hopefully 5 years from now, we were just doing our road mapping. Our goal is that we can build this a really big business. We have thousands of customers, hopefully 5 years from now, and we're solving a lot of pain. We are, building a community where we're hiring top talent. We're empowering them, also helping their families and their communities. So I'm a big believer in making a company and almost creating it like 100-year-old company. So hopefully we, in the next 5 years, we've laid the foundation. Whatever we do, again, the product may change, the vision may change, or there's a lot of new things we might be doing or different things, but just laying the foundation that can this be a generational company. And that's what we're focused on.
Wow. It's a different scope than a lot of other startups that I just want to grow as fast as I can and then sell. And, it doesn't matter what happens after it, but the focus of building a company that can be generational, that's awesome.
Yeah. Thank you.
In order to accomplish this, in order to be a company that can be passed down and no matter how it continues to evolve, what hurdles do you see you're going to have to overcome to make that happen?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think the biggest one is always like, can we build a product that's differentiated enough and that's valuable enough that people can buy quickly, or it can actually in theory solve a problem, right? Because a lot of times you try to pitch something to these executives and they have so much going on that it's not important or valuable enough for them. But at the same time, once you've sold them, can they actually see the value? Can we fulfill that promise so that they become customers, they buy more, they stay on for longer, they refer more people? So I think the two biggest things that we are constantly tracking are like, what's the time to value? What's the time to first value? And then are we seeing net retention go up? In SaaS, net retention basically means that if you start with $100, what's the end dollar amount at the end of the year? So if we bring on a customer, we start with $100, can we take them to $140 at the end of the year? So that's really important for us. And that's our net retention. And our net retention is 140%, which makes us really happy. But it's also really hard to maintain. And hopefully we can do that year over year so that we have more customers or we have more seats or more use cases than we started with at the end of the first year. So that's kind of our goal. I think these are the two big things we're trying to focus on is the first time to value, and then can we increase value over time so people stay with us?
appreciate the realization of both how quickly can somebody get on and see value, and then how well can you retain them and keep them and themselves actually growing and spending more. That hurdle, but the fact is you're focused on it, you realize it, that's probably the first step. With knowing your 5-year journey that the technology or the application or the vision might change, what are you doing personally to continually innovate? Where are you going for new ideas and new thoughts?
Yeah. So, and maybe this is like a shameless plug here, but I was watching your podcast, and they're really valuable because I think learning from other entrepreneurs is the biggest value. And all of us are busy, right? You're busy, other entrepreneurs are busy. So if you can, in your free time, listen to someone, how they're scaling, how they see, what challenges are they facing, how are they solving those? I think it's really valuable. So I
I like
think
that plug.
yeah, exactly.
Thank you.
So your channel is definitely a good place to be. And I also listen to another podcast, or they have their series, but it's very SaaS specific. It's called SaaStr. I don't know if you've heard of them, but they're pretty good too. They do a lot of content with entrepreneurs. So these two places are pretty good sources to learn.
I love it. The focus on if you aren't learning from other ideas and other people, that's the best way to innovate, is you getting new insights.
Yeah.
That's a great point. I'll have to check out SaaStr. Any particular other sites or blogs or podcasts or books or audiobooks that you're reading right now?
Yeah. So I read a lot, and I'm a big audiobook fan too. There's a book I just started reading, and I can't remember the author. That's really bad. But it's called The CEO Within, The Great CEO Within. But it's just like, it's a very tactical book. It talks about what a CEO of a startup can do to have good alignment in the company, to set goals, to, a lot of tips on hiring and firing, a lot of tips on fundraising. That's a good book. One of my favorite books is Never Split the Difference. I don't know if you've read it, but it's it's by an FBI agent, but it talks about the art of negotiation. But some of the things that you're doing too in this interview, which is amazing, things like reflective listening, just summarizing and repeating. But it's so important because every time you say it, and I'm like, yeah, you got my point. You like, I feel heard, which is great. Right? So there's a lot of tips like that in there. It's a really good book for sales and fundraising.
I think I need to read that book myself. Maybe help in interviewing as well. That's awesome. For you personally, what upcoming technology are you most excited about?
Ooh, that's a great question. I'm a believer in artificial intelligence, right? So I'm really excited about it. I think it's like, I've been doing a lot of reading. I feel like the next generation of blue collar workers are going to be software engineers or coders. So that's like one of the big theories I have. So I feel that AI is going to become really powerful. That there's still going to be a lot of creative jobs, but a lot of the blue collar jobs are going to shift out eventually. So I'm pretty excited seeing that trend.
I like that that blue collar workers will become coders. That is a fascinating perspective. I dig it.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. I mean, it's everything's becoming technology and software, and if anything, it's just somebody's going to need to manage the different algorithms and code. And hey, go work on that. Wow. Yeah. I can dig that. So, where can folks go to learn more about you? What's a good first step for them to take?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the website is probably the best way. It's www.involvesoft.com, just like Microsoft, but it's involvesoft.com. And that's it has a lot of information about me, about my founders, about my team, also about the company. But my email is Gaurav, so Gaurav @involvesoft.com. So people can drop me an email as well.
Have you seen a company using AI, machine learning, or other technology to transform the way we live, work, and do business? Go to uptechreport.com and let us know.